Chris Hipkins.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, Chris Farfoy's chances of winning the Mana by-election just went up even further. Every time Hekia Parata stands up in Parliament or shifts so that she's sitting behind somebody else who's speaking, Chris Farfoy's chances of winning the Mana by-election go up just a little bit further. Because the people in Mana know, like the rest of New Zealanders, that they were sold a lemon at the 2008 general election, because all of those promises that the National Party made, they've been breaking right, left and centre, and they had no intention of keeping them. And Hekia Parata thinks that if she just screams a little bit louder about how proud she is of all these promises that the National Party have broken, that somehow the people of Mana will be gullible enough to think that they could vote for her and put her in as their Member of Parliament. They're not that gullible, they're not that stupid. They know that National hasn't delivered what they promised. They know that they are not better off under National, that there is no ambition for the people of Porirua under this National government. Phil Heatley wants to take away their houses. The people, the old people in Porirua who have lived in their houses, those state houses, who have raised their families in those state houses, are going to have them taken away by Phil Heatley. They're going to have their houses taken away from them. Well, I say to Phil Heatley, they're not just houses, they're homes. For people who have lived in those homes for many years, who have raised their kids there, who have neighbours there that they have known for most of their lives. The kids have gone to the local school. It's not just a house, it's a home. I think it's absolutely disgraceful that Phil Heatley thinks it's acceptable to throw them out of the houses that they have lived in for all that time. And Hekia Parata has said nothing. She has said absolutely nothing about Phil Heatley's plan to throw state housing tenants out of their homes because he wants to go and give them to somebody else. Phil Heatley talked about the fact that the government, he claimed the last Labor government was a slum landlord. So what's he done since he became the Minister of Housing? Cut funding. He's cut funding to maintain state housing since he became the minister. And I can bet you that there's very little money going into redeveloping state houses in Porirua, just as there's very little money going into redeveloping state houses in my electorate just across the hill in Rimataka. And in fact, they've abandoned a whole lot of state houses that are now in such bad nick they won't put tenants in them. Instead of doing them up, they've just abandoned them altogether. They're just leaving them completely empty. That's what this government think is the priority in housing. Turf people out of their houses, turf them out of their homes, and then leave them empty. That's this government's housing strategy, and it's an absolute disgrace. The people in Mana will know. They will pass judgment on this government in another 2.5 weeks, and the judgment will be clear. They've had a gutsful of the broken promises. They had a gutsful of being told that they were going to get a government that was ambitious for New Zealand, that was going to turbocharge the economy. Remember that? They're going to turbocharge the economy. Instead, what's happened? Unemployment's gone up, and Bill English called the unemployed collateral damage. That's what Bill English thinks about the people who have lost their jobs. They are the National Party's collateral damage. They don't care about the people who have lost their jobs because of their bad managing of the economy. They don't care about the people who feel betrayed that they broke their promise not to increase GST. What did John Key say? He said, if we do a halfway decent job of managing the economy, we won't need to increase GST. Either John Key wasn't telling the truth, or he's admitted that they've done an appalling job of managing the economy. Because he said if they did a good job of managing the economy, GST wouldn't go up. GST's already gone up. Less than 2 years after National became the government, they put GST up. Another broken promise to add to the long list. They said they wouldn't cut education funding. Tell that to the parents of the kids in my electorate who send them to kindergarten, because the Rimataka Kindergarten Association have lost $1 million in funding. They've lost $1 million in funding at the hands of a government that said they would not cut funding for early childhood education. That's exactly what they've done. Across the board, the communities are feeling the pinch. They are feeling the effect of the government's funding cuts. Our elderly are struggling to make ends meet because of the rising cost of living. What does the National government do? Cuts their home help hours. Cuts their home help hours, and which will ultimately lead to more old people ending up in hospital. It is a government that is already out of touch with ordinary working New Zealanders like the people who live in the Porirua Basin in Mana. This is a government out of touch, that's broken all its promises, and the voters will deliver their judgment on that at the Mana by-election.
Mr. Speaker,